What should we be looking for when it comes to buying pans? Well, Amazon say these are the best 5 rated pans you can buy. So today, a chef and a home cook are going to test them. Heat control, searing, sticking, handling, cleanup, and then ranking them 1 to 5.
Is not heating up evenly.
How many cooking shows show you the washing up?
At the end, we're then going to compare our list to Amazon's. And if our number ones don't match, then somebody is wrong.
Oh, I like the jeopardy of that.
So shall we meet our testies? We have Chef Ben and we have Jamie.
That's not the first time that we've been described as that.
No.
The 5 pans we're testing are under the crushed velvet rug.
Hell of a cloth.
Let's have a look.
3, 2, 1.
So in no particular order, these are the 5 highest rated 24 centimetre or 9.5 inch pans on Amazon. And interestingly, these all have a different variety of coatings, materials, all which influence the cooking performance, or so we shall find out. So you have the Blackmore Classic Non-Stick Frying Pan, the All-Clad D3 Stainless Steel Frying Pan, the Le Creuset 3-ply Stainless Steel Uncoated Frying Pan, the Ninja Zero Stick Classic Cookware Frying Pan, and the Tefal Titanium Essential Frying Pan. As a home cook and as a chef, when it comes to buying pans, where does your brain go?
I have recently moved from buying Tefal style non-stick to this style stainless steel.
And what was the reason for that?
Non-stick surfaces scratching off and going into me.
For me, and these all do it, I definitely look for a shape of a pan. I look for a saute. Saute literally means to jump in French, and therefore you want to jump the ingredients in the pan. So I hate a straight-sided pan unless you're doing something like a frittata. Rivets are important. Weight of material probably the most important.
Well, let's crack on with test 1, which is all about heat retention and even heating. So we have cold electric hobs, key, and egg whites, one of the stickiest things you can cook in a pan.
2 pans, both on the small hobs, both being set to the same temperature at the same time, with the same amount of egg white at the same temperature, fridge cold, and you should see a visual change.
We've also armed the guys with a laser thermometer and a thermal imaging camera, so we'll be able to see the distribution of heat and whether there are any hotspots in these pans.
Some interesting distribution of heat going on over here.
Where is it? Mostly hot here, I imagine.
Notoriously, proteins are the sticky things, right? So you think meat, you think fish, you think eggs. Whenever you cook beans and they get too dry, all the proteins come out of beans and lentils. Those are the things that stick.
Oh, we're getting hot in this one.
So the Blackmore is definitely heating up in a slightly more arced, kind of moon-shaped way. But it's hit 35, 40 degrees, depending on where in the pan you're put, 26 degrees. This one, we're already seeing change. So it's heating up quicker, because we're already at 58, 60 degrees, much more even.
Yeah, even across the bottom of the pan.
3 minutes 15, and we've switched them off.
I think the Blackmore is a lot less cooked.
Next up, we have the Le Creuset and the Ninja Zero Stick. And in order to keep this test fair in comparison to the others, we're starting again on a new cold hob.
And this is proper consumer testing you can't do at home. Who has 3 hobs? 6 small rings?
This Ninja is not heating up evenly.
Both of these pans have taken longer to heat up in general.
Yeah, they have.
We're 15 seconds off turning off the heat, and they're not at the same place the first 2 pans were.
And finally, the Tefal Titanium Essential.
Very even on the thermal imaging camera.
So after test 1, heat retention, what were your thoughts?
Difficult to tell because our temperature probe was kind of giving slightly different readings to the thermo imaging camera to our eyes, which were spotting where the egg was coagulated in different places. But in terms of evenness, the thinness of the pan actually helped, which goes against the logic of expensive, good conducting pans. And again, we're not even addressing cast iron or copper here, which are both also excellent heat retention or heat shifting materials.
Tefal and the Blackmore, I think they performed quite well.
In each case, it wasn't as even as I was hoping.
So in terms of even heating, if you were each having to rank them out of 5, where would you put them?
I think they've all kind of done the same thing.
So they're all getting a 5.
They're all getting a 3.
In this instance, I think the Blackmore and the Tefal performed a little bit better, but it's probably like a 4 and a 3.
Fantastic. I'll get washing up and then we'll move on to our sticking test.
Good pros. Think of the gains.
So let's talk sticking or non-stick. None of these pans are smooth and flat because on a microscopic level, all different materials have divots, rivets, and slopes, some more than others. And in the coated example, the chemical formula that's covering the pan fills in all those little gaps so it is flat. Stainless steel doesn't have that. It still has the little gaps. And when protein hits the pan, the proteins denature as they heat up, causing the protein to fill the little gaps. Hence why stainless steel can be more sticky than other pans. And it's why we season cast iron pans, because that's a way of heating up and filling those gaps in with oil, which then sets.
It's why a cast iron pan gets better with age, whereas anything with a non-stick coating will degrade with
Over
age
time.
and poor use.
Which is what's been interesting about my switching from coated non-stick to a stainless steel pan at home, is having to change the way that I cook, because you have to wait for the protein to unstick itself
Absolutely.
from the pan rather than relying on the non-stick coating.
So what we're going to do, we're going to cook some skinless salmon fillets in the correct way to use each of these pans, so that not only are we testing the non-stick capabilities of these, but also, as home cooks, we're actually learning how to use these pans correctly.
So for all these pans, we are going to cook with added fat, but the fat gets added at different times.
Blackmore, aluminium.
PTFE coated.
Shouldn't be heated up to high extremes ever, and certainly not dry.
Because by doing so, you burn off the non-stick.
Yes.
But the advantage being you should get away with less oil than some of the other alternatives. Moving on to the all-clad, stainless steel. So you want to start with a lot hotter. In fact, so hot that water doesn't even want to do a thing on it and it just stays there. Sliding around on that pan, no chance of sticking.
Drop a little water bead in it, and if it bounces around the pan, it's good to go. Add your oil.
They are skidding around the pan rather than evaporating. In theory, in a stainless steel pan, you might need a little bit more oil than others. And you then don't want to add your food in until it is literally shimmering. Don't be tempted to jiggle it and wiggle it, because yes, it's kind of stuck, but that's fine. It'll unstick as it cooks.
So benefits of stainless steel pans, Ebbers?
I think a lot of the use comes in the washing and the cleaning. The use of utensils, not concerned about that. So it has a more durability, it'll have a much longer shelf life, but you do need to cook with it differently.
Next on to the Le Creuset, also stainless steel, but a heavier pan.
So the Ninja is a completely different type of coating, isn't it?
Yeah, so this is called plasma ceramic bonding. So basically they fuse ceramic particles at a very, very high temperature, creating non-stick properties.
I mean, that sounds like something that Barry takes as a supplement, if I'm honest.
So it has no PTFE or PFOA or lead in any of the non-stick coating.
Whilst the egg white experiment had nothing to do with stickiness, this actually peeled away from the Tefal pan with no fat, just egg white, and starting from cold and coming up, and we literally peeled it away. So non-stick, fresh out of the box. Don't go anywhere near it with metal, plastic tools only. The other things to address is the Tefal, as the Blackmore, much thinner pans heat up much quicker, but both have slightly warped in the sense that the oil is now around the outside and you haven't got that completely flat bottom, which is why you get a slightly different
Type of cook.
kind of cook.
The ceramic bonded coating of the Ninja pan said to be far more durable. So each of these pans comes with a 10-year warranty.
Which is a real positive given how many of these will have to go into landfill, the dump, or to be recycled within 2 to 3, 4 years, depending how much you use your pans, because that non-stick advantage will just disappear. It degrades over time. Cast iron improves over time.
Okay, so time for some thoughts and some rankings.
I'm going to go with straight out the box, they all did really well. Not a single one of them stuck when used correctly. These two needed to get a lot hotter. The oil gave off a lot more smell and a lot more smoke, and the spittage from the oil meant it needed a lot more clearing up.
Really interesting that the cheaper lightweight pans have warped in the middle and they now have like a dome effect. That's after the second cook. You have to know how to use the stainless steel pans to get the best out of them, otherwise you will get sticking. But in terms of complete ease of use, the Ninja one was really good, although it hasn't created the best colour.
So if you individually had to score them 1 to 5, where would you put your first, your last, and what's in the middle?
Because I know how to use stainless steel, All Clad number 1, Le Creuset number 2, Ninja number 3, these joint last.
And for me, based on that test, based on how I like to cook at home in an open plan kitchen living space, I do not like what every professional chef likes in a big kitchen with good extraction, which is this. I actually think the Ninja performs best on something like the salmon. Ninja, the Creuset, All Clad, these two are bottom.
Lovely, well you almost touched upon handling, which is what we're going to test next. So in this test, the boys are knocking up a very simple mushroom gnocchi dish consisting of mushrooms cooked down with cream and fresh gnocchi. This is all about how the pans handle, how they feel, the edges, how easy things are to toss. So when it comes to buying pans, you can have a straight edge, which gives you more surface area, or you can have a curved edge, which enables you to do exactly what Ebbers and Jay are doing here, which is the thing that when you first figure out to do, makes you feel like a chef.
I have observations on both the ergonomics of the pan, but also the comfort of the pan. It's supposed to be non-stick. Is it stuck to the bottom?
It's stuck. Well, it's not stuck. It's just glopped.
How nice a spatula goes around the edge of a pan for me, because it's not all about tossing.
The Blackmore is like cooking on an ice skating rink. It is so slippery and non-stick. I mean, just look at that. The Tefal I couldn't get to toss. I just couldn't get any kind of movement in it, and whether it was my wrist action that wasn't right, I don't know. The Ninja worked really well for me. That felt like a really good weight, and I could get a good kind of motion with it. And I also really liked the All Clad. With the Le Creuset, I don't know whether it's the straight sides, but I just couldn't get into a rhythm with it.
The All Clad is my least favourite. It is heavy, which we said earlier is quite a good thing, but the handle is then just the wrong shape and ergonomic for your hand. It's quite sharp actually there, and the idea of tossing, I think you'd get yourself a blister. Like, it's just uncomfortable to use, but it's nice and heavy and has got a good tossing action. Le Creuset is weightier. I think you would need to, you need to have some actual Popeye-like strength if you're doing that time and time again. Ninja, I think, is the same. It behaves well, it handles well, the lightness of the handle's good. And the two cheaper ones, because they cook quicker, I like the fact that they're going to be speedy midweek. They're easy enough to toss, but there's almost not enough weight to them to get a proper pullback at the bottom of that curve.
How you ranking them, boys?
For me, top one's the Ninja, bottom one was the Tefal. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
I start in the same place as Jay. I think Ninja comes out top in this round, but then it changes a lot. I think Le Creuset comes second, Tefal third, Blackmore fourth, and I think the All Clad is a terrible sauté pan for comfort, even though the materials are good.
Ooh, lovely stuff. Let's go into our final quick test, which is cleaning. Wash up. Tell us how easy it is.
This is really a peek behind the curtain. How many cooking shows show you the washing up? If you've got nice hot soapy water, don't throw your residue oil into it, because everything else is then going to get greasy. Like, solve that problem first. and then put it back in the cupboard, Jay.
We're not going to wash that at all?
Why? It's been hotter than any germ can survive, and it's good to go.
You don't want to put any water in that?
What are you going to do with that next time?
I've got to put oil in it and cook with it.
Yeah, it's done.
Comment below.
From a food hygiene safety point of view, microbial stuff is important, but if it's been so hot, and if you do as I do when you finished literally cooking, so it's still hot, I don't think it needs anything.
So stainless steel wise, I've gone in with a scrub daddy, but I can still see I'm going to need to get in there with something harder, like with the wire brush.
Tefal, I've gone in with hot soapy water and a soft cloth. That's all it needs, because nothing has stuck, nothing has got any sort of gnarly bits on it. Really easy, up until the point you try and get in the handle. And then, Mike, I'm going to need a toothpick or a toothbrush. And I want one of those micro toothbrushes you use for your braces, because there are so many bits that stuff can get stuck in, and it has actually got cream in that, whereas it didn't in the Blackmore. We didn't get any cream in that bit, but here we have.
How's the Ninja handling?
Nice and easy on the inside. Again, we should stress these are straight out of the packet, brand new, used a handful of times today, but they are really lovely and easy to clean.
Or you've gone wire.
Funnily enough, it's actually the water spots that are being
Staining.
harder to come out. Yeah.
So what you really need in that is not an alkali soap, but an acidic vinegar or similar to tackle that. I think it also depends hugely on how you like the presentation of your pans. If it has to be back to mirror clean, can see your face in it before you continue, then these two will take a lot more maintenance, as would copper pans, as would cast iron pans, wipe out and perhaps occasionally re-season.
How easy were these pans to clean?
The non-stick ones actually clean very well because they didn't get dirty and nothing stuck to them.
And we were, let's stress, just cooking a creamy gnocchi dish. If you were doing something that was more gnarly, you wanted something to stick to the bottom.
I spent 5 minutes scrubbing the stainless steel pans because of the egg that we burnt to the bottom of them earlier, and it was a lot of work.
But at least you could. Whereas if it's stuck to anything else, especially once the coating starts to peel away, you cannot use a wire wool brush on them.
I much prefer being able to tackle my pan with anything that is going to get it off.
Something to add, these two I wouldn't have a problem with putting in the dishwasher. I wouldn't put the other three in. I'm sure they say dishwasher safe on them. It will deteriorate and degrade the coating quicker.
Okay, how are you ranking them?
I would go Blackmore, Tefal, Ninja, All Clad, Le Creuset.
Ebbers?
I would actually put both of these in the same top place, because you cannot destroy them. So you can scrub them, you can put them in the dishwasher, you can do anything with them. And after these two, I would put Ninja, really nice and easy, and then Blackmore, and then I'd probably end with Tefal, just because there's more places for things to get annoyingly stuck and it winds me up.
Fantastic, testing done. Now it's time to get you to put together your final lists, and we're going to find out how they marry up to our Amazon top 5. So, final decision time. We've tested everything, we've gone through the individual categories and scored them appropriately. However, now taking all of that into consideration, what would be your 1 to 5 ranking for these pans?
In 5th place is the Blackmore, the Warping. 4th, Tefal. Only better because it's a brand I actually know and recognise and would hope that that would have a bit more of a longer standing thing to it. 3rd is the All Clad. I really like it, but it's just not comfortable enough. In 2nd place, it's the Le Creuset. I'd love for that to be my number 1, but I think cooking with stainless steel is still an aspiration, which is why my number 1 is the Ninja, because as an all-rounder, I think that does a bit of everything, and it does it really well.
I am torn, because in this video, I'm sat here as a chef. But that is a different opinion as to whether I have my top on or off.
Jacket.
Yeah. What I would say is, if I was in a professional kitchen and I was cooking for many hours a day on a stovetop and you've got checks and orders coming in, these two will always be my top 2, and I couldn't possibly hold that for a full shift because it's uncomfortable. So Le Creuset would be my number 1 out of these. That would be my number 2. I would then say Ninja 3, and then Tefal at the bottom. But Ben Ebrel cooking at home?
Double ranker.
I cannot cook on stainless steel the way it needs to be cooked on in an open plan flat. So in a domestic environment, Ninja would take number 1, then Le Creuset, then All-Clad, then Tefal, then Blackmore.
Well, let's find out how both of those lists, or all three, compare to the top 5 best rated on Amazon. Now, obviously, if you make the top 5 on Amazon, you're already doing pretty well.
Le Creuset.
I wonder if that's a conversation about value for money as well. Yep,
£123.75.
doesn't surprise me.
Le Creuset in 5th, a 4.4 rating from 1,205 reviews.
Right, number 4, the All-Clad.
Yeah, people are thinking ergonomics here. But stainless steel, comparison to Le Creuset, an awful lot cheaper, I'm guessing.
£146.
Nobody buy it.
A 4.5 star rating with 1,805 reviews.
What came in at number 3? The Ninja.
Also coming in at a 4.5 star rating, but with more reviews, that's 5,443.
£53.
A third of the price, pretty much, of the All-Clad.
Right, in at number 2, the Blackmore.
I reckon this is probably the cheapest of all of them, is my guess.
Just out of interest, how much do you think it is?
12, I reckon it's the cheap.
I mean, that is the second pan we ordered. That's what happened to the pan on delivery.
£13.97.
You said 12,
Yeah.
and do you know what?
So a 4.5 star rating from 15,105 reviews. And obviously the Tefal comes in at the top.
21 quid.
Now this was a 4.6 star rating, and this particular one, 1,300 reviews. So not
Actually,
as many as
Fewer reviews.
some of the others.
What I learned, and my final advice for all of this, don't strive for an only pan. I genuinely don't think there is one pan that will do everything. And I think it is wise to have, when you can get to that stage, build up a few different pans. One that is gloriously non-stick, that you never cook anything at high temperatures and wipe out
Cook
super
eggs in
easy.
it, be done.
One that does this, one that will go through the oven, and probably 3 pans across your range will then do everything.
For me, it's about aspirations. And if you want to improve over time, then get a stainless steel, because it will help you cook better food, but you do have to learn how to do it. You have to invest in yourself as much as the pan to make that happen.
Well, hopefully that was very useful and enlightening. If you'd like to see the video that we made doing this exact same process but with chef knives, then the video is right here.
What we're doing it with next? Forks.